Everybody, I'm Marcus.
I'm Ryan.
And together
we are the Northwest Sports Fanatics.
We're here with our weekly NBA review for the week. We have our power rankings, also our players of the week. And we also got a question we're going to answer from
Mr. Corey McMullen about Johnny Football.
Corey McMullen. So without further ado, let's go ahead and kick off our NBA power rankings.
All right, so let's start it off with the NBA power rankings for this week. At number 5, we got the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Go Thunder.
All right, so they're 28-10. They've gone on a little bit of a slide. You lost to the Nuggets by 13, but then rebounded against the Milwaukee Bucks. Nice win, 16-point win there. But then you lost a close one to the Grizzlies. So it's kind of showing right now with Westbrook what he really means to the team. But you do have the Rockets tomorrow.
Okay.
That's a game to show that you're still kind of up towards the top. And then you got a kind of a rough stretch. You got Warriors and then Kings. And Kings have been playing a little bit better as of late.
Good. Don't sleep on the Kings, man.
Right. So we'll have to see how that goes. Keys to, I think, the Thunder to stay afloat right now and stay in the top 5 is Jeremy Lamb, Reggie Jackson, and Thabo Sefolosha. I think those are your 3 guys. And obviously Stephen Hill, obviously down low on the block. But you're going to need some production from these guys to kind of make up, for obviously the loss of Westbrook. And they're not going to be able to give you exactly what he gave you. Mm-hmm. But as long as you can stay afloat, that's what's going to kind of keep them there. What do you have? Any key stats about the Thunder? Why they're doing good or bad? Or
also want to throw Serge Ibaka in there.
Right.
He's going to have to become more of a scoring threat. He got the defensive presence, but with Westbrook gone, someone's going to have to pick up that scoring. So I think he's going to have to pick it up a little bit. A key stat that I have from the Thunder is, of course, about Kevin Durant. Since Westbrook has been down, he's averaging 34 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists. But they only are 6-4 since the injury.
Yeah, and I was hearing also, too, that he's a little bit shooting too much in his opinion. So obviously, it's nice to get those 30-point games, but at the end of the day, if you're getting the L, it's not really worth it for the organization.
That's what you got to do to keep them afloat, man. Keep putting up that rock, KD. I love it, man.
Right? All-star, for sure. So let's move forward now to number 4, to the Miami Heat.
The Miami Heat. The Heatles.
The Heatles, all right, 27-10. You lost to the Knicks by 10. Kind of shocked people earlier last week. Then you played the Nets in a real close game, got it down to the wire, and you lost by 9 in double overtime. Mm-hmm. That kind of shocked them, I think, a little bit, opened their eyes. You played the Wizards tonight. It's on TV right now. And right now they're actually getting kind of clobbered right now by the Wiz.
Yeah.
So
let me knock on wood.
Knock on wood, right? But you did add Tony Douglas in the trade. Mm-hmm. So Joel Anthony is out. Tony Douglas is in. We'll see how that goes. And then obviously for them to keep moving forward, I think Norris Cole, Michael Beasley, Rashard Lewis, these guys, they don't get talked about a lot, but they need to obviously pick up the pace. For obviously people like Mike Miller not being there anymore. That was a key loss for them. And if they really want to keep going forward, they're going to have to find people like that to keep stepping up. Like, for example, right now, they're getting killed by the Wizards. Obviously, there's a reason why. They're not getting enough, scoring overall. But Greg Oden, we just saw him on TV about a minute ago, had a nice little dunk. So we'll have to see how that goes. Any key stats about the Heat right now?
Key stat, I just wanted to mention, you already mentioned it about the Greg Oden.
Right.
He's active tonight with Joel Anthony gone, so they're going to need him to finally, they've been resting him all year, so they're going to need him to step up and play a couple of minutes each night. Also, with the Heat, Shane Battier. He's been fighting the injury bug this year. He's getting kind of older there.
Right.
So it's been hard for him to shrug off the injury bug. You're right. They do need Beasley, Cole, Rashard Lewis, one of them to step up and give them a little more scoring to make up for that absence.
Yeah, it makes me kind of wonder, are they going to be able to find someone that can make threes consistently like Battier and Ray Allen did in the playoffs? Mm-hmm. If Miller's gone, who are they going to really turn to? So maybe look for a trade at the free agency right before the trade deadline, maybe to bring a shooter in, someone that maybe could help them out. I mean, an ideal situation would be like a Kyle Korver, but chances are that's probably not going to happen.
Well, from the looks of it, I think they're hoping Tony Douglas is the guy. I mean, he's a pretty decent player. He'll shoot about 39% from three-point range, and that's pretty much all they need you to do is to space the floor and shoot the rock.
Yeah, so we'll see how the Heatles do. I'm not sure if they can come back on your Wiz tonight, but shout out to the Heat. They're still obviously playing well. Mm-hmm. Number 3, we're going to go to the hometown team, the Portland Trailblazers.
Rip City.
Right, Rip City. We're 28-9. We defeated the Magic by 16, last week, and then the Celtics on Saturday by 8. And that game kind of scared me a little bit, but they got it done. Tonight we got the Cavs. Mm-hmm. So it should be a winnable game at home, but the key stat is the stretch that we're going to have on the road. The most difficult in the whole season is coming up on Friday.
Where we
got road trip, 4 games in 5 nights. Road trip, and this is really going to decide how good the Blazers are and shows really the toughness of the team. You got on Friday on the road against the Spurs.
Okay.
Right? Top 5 team. Then the next night, you go to the Mavericks.
Okay.
Right? LA. He's from obviously the Dallas area, so he plays well against the Mavericks. Yep. He'll play big. But then you have a day off. Then you play the Rockets on the road.
Okay.
Right? And then the next game after that, you got the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Oh, so they got the Texas Triangle.
The Texas Triangle. So I'm not sure how we're going to come out on top at the end of those games. I think Blazer fans in general are hoping for 2-2. Mm-hmm. Somehow if we can do better than that, that's obviously a great feat for the Blazers. Mm-hmm. But one key player I just want to shout out, C.J. McCollum. Thank you. You are here. We need you. And he's already second on the bench in scoring with limited play, 7 points per game. Behind obviously Mo Williams. He's the leading scorer off the bench for the Blazers, and we'll see where C.J. McCollum takes us. It's really nice to see him out there. He's almost like a Bonzi Wells, kind of a little bit chubbier in the cheeks, but hey, don't let those chubby cheeks fool you. He'll definitely be making some jumpers for him. As we move forward.
C.J. McCollum is an awesome player. Every time I see him play, I just have flashbacks of all the sports heads know what I'm talking about. That game, Lehigh versus Duke in the NCAA tournament,
right?
And he went off for 38. So he's doing great. Good to have him back on the bench, which pushed Darrell Wright a little bit more playing time back. But it's awesome because C.J. McCollum to me is better. A stat about the Blazers. Nicholas Batum Shakalaka, as they say out here in the great Northwest. He has 2 triple-doubles this year.
Right.
He's showing a great all-around play, rebounding, assists, defense. He's always been known as a great defensive player. So shout out to Nick Batum, man. Keep it up.
And shout out to Wesley Matthews, too. I think those are the 2 players that Blazer fans were really worried about. Thought maybe these guys are never going to pan out, and now they finally are kind of putting it together. Their roles are different than in the past. They're doing a little bit more rebounding, defense, assisting, but it's working. And it's making those threes. And it's making those threes. So, Rip City, if we can get those threes, that's what we need out here. So let's move forward to number 2. The OGs, they never go away. The San Antonio Spurs.
The Spurs.
Right? 30-8.
Yes.
Obviously, you had a stretch there where you were winning some games, you were losing some games, but you played, obviously, the Mavericks, the T-Wolves, and the Pelicans last week, and you won by 22, 18, and 6.
Okay.
So you got it all done. Those are games you should win. You got the Utah Jazz tonight. That's definitely a winnable game, even though Trey Burke is starting to play.
Wow.
He's starting to play pretty well. He's not going to get Rookie of the Year, but you know what? He's starting to show his worth. But one key stat I want to throw out there is that you were kind of getting on Danny Green last week, milk carton, right? And then what happened? He got injured.
He got hurt. He's out.
So he's out for 4 weeks with a fractured hand. So we won't get to see him improve his game for a while. But that does leave room for improvements for the bench. Obviously step their game up. So we'll have to see where that goes from there. What about the Spurs? What do you see with them?
With Green injured, I look for Bellinelli to step it up a little bit more.
Right.
An interesting stat about the Spurs is they're 15-3 on the road, best road record in the NBA right now.
And that shouldn't really surprise too many people with Popovich leading the way. He's almost like a Belichick in the NBA, so you already know he's going to bring it, and he knows how to rest his players and get the most, obviously, motivation-wise, out of his talent. So shout out to the Spurs. And then number 1, drum roll, please. And we already know who it is, Indiana Pacers, right?
Pacers.
You're 30-7. You're killing it. Obviously, you had a little rough stretch, though. You played the Hawks last week, right? You lost that game by 10. That kind of shocked, I think, a lot of people in the NBA world. But then you rebounded. You played the Wizards. That was kind of an ugly game for the Wizards. And they got kind of blown out in that game. And then they played the Kings after that, and they beat the Kings. So they kind of showed that they are still the best team in the NBA. But they do play the Knicks tonight or tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow. They play the Knicks tomorrow. So we'll have to see how they play. The starting 5 is averaging 70 points per game.
Wow.
Right? It's very consistent. They haven't slowed down. You got Lance Stevenson. He's doing the
That's
whole
my man.
Sir Lance-a-Lot. He's trying to get into the All-Star game. He's doing these little gimmicks and commercials. So shout out to Lance Stevenson. You're doing your thing this year. But one key stat I wanted to throw out is the bench play. Danny Granger, right? C.J. Watson, and Luis Scola. 23 points per game. Wow. So right there, in those 8 players, you're averaging 93 points per game.
Wow.
No wonder you're number one in the in the NBA. I mean, you've got stats like that. You got any key stats for the Pacers?
The key stat. This is the main reason why the Pacers has the best record in the NBA right now. They've held 10 teams under 100 points.
Oh, wow.
And the next highest is the Bulls at 4.
Oh, wow. Well, shows that defense with Hibbert and Lance Stevenson. They're really coming to play.
Frank Vogel, man. Shout out to Frank Vogel. It just was announced he's going to be the East coach in the All-Star game.
Oh, awesome. Okay. So, Frank Vogel, shout out to you. That's the NBA, obviously, top 5 for Northwest Sports Fanatics. We want to go to our question here real quick from Corey McMullen.
Okay, Corey.
Corey McMullen has a question for us about Johnny Football. He says, how high is Johnny Football Manziel's ceiling, and how high can he get drafted in this upcoming NFL draft since he declared? What is your opinion on Johnny Football? Johnny Football
is one of those players that comes around every so often.
Right.
He just has it. Every time people talk about evaluating talent and players, and they say that it factor.
Right.
And whatever it is, Johnny Football has it. You can go back and watch his tape over the last 2 years. He's got it done in pressure situations, throwing the ball, running the ball, his leadership. To me, he's going to be the number 1 pick in the draft. If I'm Texans and I'm sitting at number 1, I'm going Johnny Football. What about you?
Well, as you know, I've been one of his biggest fans for months and months ago, and I was telling people a long time ago I thought that he could go number 1, but people were like, maybe not. They'll go defense or other players. But now the Texans have the first pick, and about 4 or 5 teams in the top 8 need a QB.
Right.
So it kind of makes sense for him to go pretty high, but these are his stat lines here. He's 6'1", 210, so he can gain some weight. So he's got a little bit Drew Brees kind of size there. 26 TDs passing, 9 interceptions in his Heisman year. Okay. Obviously, he won as a freshman. 68 completion percentage, and he had 1,410 yards rushing, which is unbelievable. 21 touchdowns.
He's a quarterback, right?
He's a quarterback, so that's pretty unbelievable. And then as far as the sophomore season this year, he had 37 touchdowns and 13 picks. Wow. So a little bit more interceptions, just a few more, but more touchdown passes, right? 69.9% in the completion percentage, so he actually played better. Obviously, accuracy-wise.
They asked of him a whole lot more this year. They lost Swope and Christian Michael, so he lost some of his weapons. So they asked him to do a lot more.
Yeah, so he lost a lot of key weapons. But then he had 759 yards rushing and 9 TDs. So still very solid. To me, he does have the it factor. He gives me the chills. It's almost like when I said Russell Wilson was going to pan out, and he has. And so I get the same kind of vibe from this player. Will he make mistakes? Yes. Will he force the ball down the field like Brett Favre did? Yes. But will he extend the plays and give you plays you've never seen before? Yes. And that's why you need to draft him. If not number 1, somewhere between number 1, 2, or 3, depending on who you are evaluating the talent. I mean, Javion Clowney is rumored to go pretty high as well.
Matthews.
But Matthews as well. But I think that if you were going to draft a quarterback, you can't go wrong with this type of quarterback in Johnny Football.
You got to go Johnny Football.
So that's the Johnny Football there. That's a little question and answer for Corey McMullen.
Before we go, I want to give y'all the NBA Players of the Week.
All right.
In the Eastern Conference, it's Mr. Carmelo Anthony. The Knicks went 3-0. Carmelo averaged 27 points for the week. And get this, 2.3 steals.
Wow, he can actually steal the ball?
Yeah, I found that amazing. So shout out to Carmelo. And in the West, Mr. DeMarcus Cousins.
Beasting.
Oh, wow. The Kings also went 3-0. And DeMarcus averaged 25 points and 12 rebounds. And helping his team stay undefeated.
Is he the best player in the NBA with the worst attitude?
No comment. Yeah, he need to fix that attitude, but that attitude comes from within the organization, the head coach, the GMs, the owner, and with Shaq there now. So maybe Shaq can teach him a little thing or two about sportsmanship and dignity.
One thing would be kind of crazy if that a player like that went to the Spurs. How he could really develop his game. It could be scary good if he went to a better team.
You just need the right coaching.
Absolutely. Well, that's the NBA Sports Fanatics Top 5 and our question of the day, question of the week. Look out for our video tomorrow. We're going to come out with a little NFL preview for NFC, AFC Championship game, so stay tuned. We'll have another video posted for you tomorrow.
Northwest Sports Fanatics.